Welcome to the Digital Dreaming Off the Gridiron podcast. It is your host, Asif Ali, joined by co-host for the most, Niners faithful and three-time fantasy champion, except he's 3 out of 4, like Jerry Rice in his fantasy leagues. So, Mom, Bobby Huck, that's what I did today, bro.
What's up, man? I'll correct you on that. I'm 3 out of 7.
So you're basically all right. My bad about that. So yeah, I just had a
No
little short.
worries.
We're good to go. Okay. Anyways, now pretty much we're gonna just start off this episode with recapping last week or this past weekend's NFL action, and we're gonna talk. And then we're gonna go preview the wildcard weekend. Obviously, the Niners start off with them. The loss obviously to the Rams. A lot of fans on social media seem to feel very strongly. Obviously, Jake Moody missed the extra point. He missed two field goals, or a field goal and the extra point. Kyle Shanahan basically said that that they're not going to consider bringing any other kickers in. This was very similar to 2012 when David Akers was in a kicking slump and they brought a few other kickers in. Niners still were able to make the Super Bowl. David Akers was not the reason they lost the Super Bowl, but pretty much he was able to get out of that slump. One other item that was, pretty much discussed was kind of, I think a lot of concerns around the defense. I think there's the run defense in the first quarter. Obviously, like, you got Kyron Williams and you had some of the second stringers, kind of, have their way, for the first touchdown. Carson Wentz rushed the ball. He had 16 rushing to rush attempts. So, I mean, that's something else that, may have been a cause concern. And obviously, Farrell had the knee injury, but all things considered, I think Sunday's game was kind of. I thought ultimately the Niners they accomplished what they needed to do. They basically gave Sam Darnold that second unit some reps, and they came out of that game unscathed for the most part, outside of Clelin Ferrell's knee, which apparently seems to be, according to Matt Barrows, is pretty much good to go. Let me ask you, bro, regarding the game yesterday, what were your takeaways and kind of what are you expecting now for the divisional round with the 2 weeks coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just a slight tune up for the team, right?
Mhm.
Um, got a couple of guys like you had Trent Williams play for some odd reason, but he played. I didn't like that. I was scared. I was scared
Yeah,
for him.
absolutely. Me too. And I'm
I
happy
was
that they
scared.
took him out after that first series. And I mean they let that second unit. I'm not sure what 76's name is. Is it Burford or whatever his name is? 76.
76 was I think that's is that Jalen Moore or is
I
that
don't know.
Spencer Burford? I don't know. It's one of the two.
He
It's one
wanted
of
to,
those two
yeah. So
guys.
I mean, he came
Yeah.
in, he kind of got his, he got in the mix, and again, I think like you said, good tune up and great for that second unit. I'm really happy they pulled out Trent because I was really worried because I did see him actually go full force on a few of those downs, and so I'm happy that he was able to come out after they scored that touchdown. So.
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, I think, you didn't see a lot of starters on the defense either. I think Bosa was in there for a little bit. Chardavius Ward was in there for a little bit. That's fine. All good. No major injuries here. I think that's really the takeaway from this game. And Sam Darnold's probably sticking around. He didn't look that good against the Rams, B squad. So he's probably sticking around. I don't think anyone's like, oh wow, we saw Sam Darnold kill it in this game. We're gonna go to sign him to a $15 million deal. So welcome back, Sam Darnold.
Welcome back, Sam Darnold. Grant Cohn was basically ripping him to shreds on the post game. I mean, it just seemed
It's
like
one game,
Grant
dude.
Cohn just was like, yeah, they have to go and draft a quarterback. Because Sam Darnold is what we've seen for the past 5, 6, 7 years in the NFL, and he proved it today. And he looked. I mean, so he said, Grant basically said, "What is it? Lipstick on a pig? What have you? It's still a pig." So, I mean, it is
I
what it
mean,
is.
that's fine. It's no one's saying he's a starting quarterback. You just need a competent backup, and that's what he is. He's a competent backup. You can go draft a rookie too. Go for it. Just do both. Keep
Draft
Sam
a
Darnold,
rookie.
draft a rookie. Go for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, and well, and I don't think a backup QB is really a position of need. I mean,
Yeah, you find
again,
the guy in the sixth or seventh round like you
all
did
right.
Brock Purdy. So
Love the reference. Yes. Yeah, no, I think ultimately, like you said, everything will turn out to the Niners' favor. Sean McVay gets a monkey off his back in terms of being Kyle Shannon in the regular season. And I think kind
I
of,
don't know if he got that monkey off his back. Let's just
he
be
didn't
real.
get the
It's
monkey off his back, but I'm kind of
he,
glad
he
that
beat a
they
Kyle. He beat the Kyle Shanahan B team.
he did, and but I'm glad that he got that because I don't like playing divisional opponents and not having like have beat them like all three or two times if you have to see them again in the postseason, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But from that perspective, I'm glad that it was like okay, like yeah, the Niners lost, boohoo, when it's 6-0, right? Like you said, like or whatever, 13-0 for the past how many years, and so that streak, like you said, continues with the starting team, right? With Brock plays, but I feel very confident now with this team, and that's always my takeaway. I think this team with Brock Purdy, as well as kind of this depth that we have, there's a lot of depth. Number 41, I forgot his name, had that interception, right? His first career interception. There was another, and there's another player who had, I think it was, yeah, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles had the last tackle or last sack of that game, or maybe it was a run task stop. I forgot what it was. So I mean, I like that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that, that
I didn't even know who 41 was. Taylor Hawkins, man. I just looked
Taylor
him up.
Hawkins, right? Taylor Hawkins. That was his first ever interception in the NFL. That was
I think
it
that's
was
his first ever snap. Like he played for the Niners too,
yeah,
like
he's
this
a
game.
rookie. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to get these guys, these young guys, in the mix. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that. So that was pretty much that from that game. Any other games that stuck out? The only other game that stuck out to me, and if you have any others you can talk about, just the Bills and Dolphins game.
Yeah,
Josh Allen and that Bills team should have been up by 10 before the halftime, but all those interceptions kind of killed them. And I really thought they were almost giving the game away to Miami. Obviously, the better team came out on top. There was a lot of lucky plays like that tip pass, that Sheffield, or whatever his name is. He basically caught, in the end zone with the toe tap drag. And so, I mean, I think it was a much closer game than it should be. But I mean, it does help the Bills' confidence because they've now won 6, 7 straight, like the Rams have, but the Bills are now AFC's chance for the fourth straight year. So that's pretty interesting.
yeah. That game, man. Unfortunate for the Dolphins because I think they lost like 2 more or 3 more starters on defense after that game. So yikes. And now they have to go into Kansas City, man. They have to go play in like 0-degree weather next week. So
Oh
that's
gosh.
we'll get into that, but that's really the takeaway there that Miami is not healthy and they're dropping like flies on defense. So
Yeah.
that stood out to me in that game. I mean, Josh Allen did his Josh Allen thing, turned over the ball, and then the defense held him up, and then he got his touchdown and won the game. So
Yeah.
that's what Josh
Yeah.
Allen does.
That's what Josh Allen does, and that's kind of big debate. Like, do you trust Josh Allen in the playoffs? Well, we've seen him, and it was interesting. I was watching Speak this today, and then and this is kind of my last point about this week's match. And obviously, then we'll try to go in the playoffs. But they're basically asking, like, do you trust him in the playoffs? And then Emmanuel Acho, like him or hate him, he basically said, we've seen Josh Allen win 4 straight in 2020, and then he made the AFC Championship, but then he lost. We've seen him win 7 straight in 2022 last year, and they lost in the divisional to the Bengals. He won 6 straight the year prior, and I don't even know what they did. And I think they lost the divisional again. And then so this is on. I mean this is pretty much on pace, or I guess how much of the spectrum. But this is what you expect from Josh Allen, right? So I think
It's on par.
but the fact that those are the 2 seed, it bodes well. I think them playing at home, will be very easy. Obviously, they have Steelers. Two of the Mike Tomlin. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, however which way you split it, like to make the playoffs 17 straight and that 20 consecutive winning seasons for Pittsburgh, therefore topping the New England Patriots for the record, only behind the Dallas Cowboys of Tom Landry, who have 21. I mean, that's incredible. So, I mean, kudos to them. But yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, we'll see what he can do, and we're going to talk about that now. So, let's get
All
into
right,
the
let's do it.
NFL. Yeah, let's talk about NFL postseason. We'll start off with the Bills and the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers, I'm not really sure what to say. I think the Bills at home, they're hot. They're at home. They're the number 2 seed. They should step over the Steelers, right? But again, what version of Josh Allen are we going to get? So we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean Steelers don't have TJ Watt. They're not gonna have TJ Watt for this game. He's likely out.
Yeah.
And they're starting Mason Rudolph at quarterback. So unless not Najee Harris and Jalen Warren are gashing the Bills D, which I don't think is gonna happen, yeah, I mean it's gonna be a laugher of a game too. I don't think anyone except the Bills Mafia and Steeler fans are tuning into this game, and Steeler fans will be tuned out by halftime. So
Absolutely, I agree. Next up, we're going to talk about the Bucks and the Eagles. What are you expecting for this game?
man, you know, I I think the Eagles should turn back on like whatever gear the Niners turned off when they dismantled them in Philadelphia. Like I don't know what happened to them after that, but I think it's the Bucks. It's Baker Mayfield. It's in Tampa Bay. Like you guys should be able to win this game, and if you don't, well, yikes! Like I don't know. That's probably like that's going to be more disastrous for the Eagles later. But people start questioning Jalen Hurts. Why did you give him this contract? You can't even beat the Bucks, right? But I do think the Eagles walk all over the Bucks in this one. We'll see Baker Mayfield do Baker Mayfield things, and the defense is going to walk over him. Oh, you looking at me like you don't think so?
I mean, I'm
Okay.
just the last time that the Eagles actually looked dominant was after right before they played this team behind both of us. And they since then they've dropped 5 of 6, and the most glaring issue has been on the defensive side of the ball. Since the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have lost to the Eagles in Week 4, they've just been kind of, I mean, last 4 or 5 weeks especially, they've
I
been
mean, did
kind
you
of on a roll.
they barely put up points on the Panthers, man. So
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
I
know.
mean, I'm not talking about the Panthers. I'm talking about all the games before that, going to Lambeau, beating the Packers. I'm talking about Baker Mayfield. If you forget, Baker Mayfield with the Cleveland Browns did win a division title. He was the first quarterback to win a Browns playoff division title outside one other time, 2002 in this
It's still Baker
century.
Mayfield, man. It's still Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Mayfield magic. I mean, he's probably going to win comeback player of the year. So I mean, I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I really think the Eagles are looking very, very vulnerable right now, and I think this is a perfect opportunity for Tampa Bay to to get a win at home, and obviously build off some momentum. But again, if the Eagles can figure it out, I mean, I don't know what happened on Sunday and what's happened the previous weeks. I mean, that was just a debacle, and I mean, I don't see. I mean, the Eagles have way, way too many problems for me to even trust them to win a wild card win a game, which to your point, they should win easily. So I mean,
They should,
I
they
don't know.
should.
Yeah,
And if AJ Brown's not playing, I forget how serious his knee injury was, but if he's not playing, um, then yeah, we could see a Tampa Bay kind of, I mean, it's weird to say it's an upset, but it would be an upset, right?
it
If
would
the
be an
Eagles
upset.
are,
Yeah,
would be an upset. So
yeah,
we'll see. I guess that game's a little more interesting than we thought.
yes, it is. So we're split on that. I like that. Okay, let's go check out the next matchups. Now we're gonna get a little more interesting. So we just previewed the Bills Steelers. We just previewed the Bucks and the Eagles. Browns, Texans. I'm not expecting too much from this game. I think the Browns are a much better team defensively, and Joe Flacco, like I said, is having that career resurgence. 300-yard games every single week. I think the Browns should win this game easily. So,
So I'm gonna disagree with you on that, man.
ooh,
I think the Browns at home would have been a different story. The
okay,
Browns on the road, I don't know if you've. I was just reading something about the Browns defense on the road. On the road, they give up 30 points per game. At
ooh,
home, they give up like 14 points per game. So
mhm.
it's like a night and day difference. So I think this is going to be a shootout. Uh, I don't know if I want to call it for the Texans, but I think I might say the Texans might take this if it's a shootout.
Oh wow,
If it turns into a shootout, I think the Texans might take it because CJ Stroud can win a shootout.
I mean, I'm just going with the experience. Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl
Joe
champion
Flacco
quarterback.
definitely, yeah, he's a Super Bowl champion quarterback. He's got the experience. I mean, CJ Stroud's a rookie, but if we are just going off, turns into a shootout, I think Texans got maybe a slightly more edge there just because they're at home. But then again, we've seen the Texans do Texans things in the playoffs and just blow up like like you're like, whoa, this how's this team even in the playoffs, right? Like we've seen that time and time with the Texans, right? So I want to say the Texans take this one close game, but it's gonna be a high scoring game.
Okay, I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go the Browns, just because of that defense. I think that defense is gonna be too much for CJ. I mean, credit to CJ for and getting Texans great story of the year. D'Amico Ryan should be coach of the year, if not Kevin Stefanski. But shout out D'Amico, right? We still love you over here, right? But
Yeah, I
I
think
just
D'Amico should be, man. I think he should be.
yeah, I think he should, and it would. And again, I mean, same thing like the Bucks. If the Texans not find a way to win this at home, I mean, it's gonna be huge. But I also think the Texans, I mean, if they win this game, they're going to get bounced in the next round. So I think the Browns are
Oh yeah,
built.
for sure. I mean, I mean, whoever wins this game is gonna get bounced the next round. So
Yeah, well, I mean, if the Browns go to Baltimore, I like that a little bit more than Houston, because I like the fact that
well,
a divisional matchup is always more tough, right? And the
absolutely,
Browns,
absolutely. But I don't. I'm not sure if the Browns would go to Baltimore. I guess it depends on. Well,
yeah,
very
yeah, it
soon they
depends on
will.
who.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
might
I
be
mean,
the low. They'll probably be the lowest seed, so they would go to Baltimore.
they would go to
Uh,
Baltimore because they'd be the low seed, and
yeah.
that's pretty much why I would like to see that matchup, because I think that would be a very good physical game, as we've seen
Well,
this year.
let's see. Let's see if they're giving up points to the Texans on the road. Like if this is turned into a shootout, then I'm not too sure. I'm not too confident they're gonna hold Lamar. So
I guess we'll see what version of the Browns show up, right? Because they've also been.
exactly.
I think when they played the Jets, they only allowed was it 14, and that was at New York, if I'm
hmm
not mistaken. So it was like 30, or maybe it was
I
at
think that was like the only game where they didn't give up
kind of
30
lock them
points or something
down
like
and,
that.
and play
Yeah.
good defense.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yep.
they put up 34 points in that game. So I mean that's another thing. So we've
Yep.
seen this
So let's see.
offense. Yeah, we'll see this offense kind of be confident throughout the year. So we'll see which conversion. Okay,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Chiefs and Dolphins. I mean, Dolphins are pretty much banged up. I think Chiefs are going to win. So I mean,
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I think Chiefs are going to take it. Dolphins are too banged up. It's cold weather. Dolphins can't play in cold weather. We know that. Um, so let's. I mean, Chiefs D is nasty. I think this one will be surprisingly low scoring. Like people wouldn't expect. Like when you think of the offenses in this game, you would be like, I mean, we've seen the Chiefs kind of struggle this year, but the Dolphins have been on fire. I mean, they're the team that put up like what 72 points in one game here in the season.
yeah.
So you would think this would be a higher scoring game, but I think the cold and the Chiefs defense and the Dolphins injury is going to keep this a little bit lower scoring than we anticipate.
Yeah, no, and I think also, I mean, Patrick Mahomes receivers, they need some stick 'em. You know, they need some stick 'em. You know, catch balls.
He needs
I mean,
receivers, bro. He doesn't. They don't need stick him. They need to give him some real receivers.
yeah, that's why it's going to be a very low
I mean,
scoring.
I want to say his best receiver is Rashee Rice, and after that, it's like, who are these guys? Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Nicole
There's
Hardman's
Tony.
back. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. This is it's just a travesty what the Chiefs are doing out there with Mahomes' talent.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that I mean that's basically significant of the front office. You know, Mahomes cap, counting as the cap. Brett Veach and Andy Reid trusted too much in Mahomes' greatness to think that he could just, be Houdini, which he's been, for the majority of his career without any kind of true number one option outside of Travis Kelce, who's now, he's basically my age. And I mean, if you're my
Yeah,
age and you're a number one option in this NFL, I mean, I don't know if that means that. I mean, I don't know that that's the best kind of offense, in this game. So,
yep.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and hopefully Rashee Rice develops into something, but I think they got to get Mahomes another guy to get back on track. But well,
they
I hope they don't get Mahomes another guy instead of getting.
exactly. We don't hope,
I
right?
but if I was a Chiefs fan, I'd be hoping for that.
Correct. Correct. All right. So that's that. Now we'll talk about the premier matchups. Packers at Cowboys. This one, oof, this is going. So, yeah, obviously Green Bay, they found their way into the playoffs. They struggled a little bit along the way. There are times where, like, they lost a few games, like to the Giants, they lost to the Bears. Jao Cortez to your Bears, because, they actually, ended up beating you. And they obviously, I mean, Justin Fields is
They didn't look that
basically
dangerous.
I mean, and now obviously Justin Fields is everyone on my Facebook is going crazy because because they don't want the front office to trade Justin Fields. But I mean, if you have the first overall pick, I mean, why the fuck not? So I mean, it doesn't make sense, not. So, anyways, yes, Packers like Cowboys. Obviously two premier franchises. With us, obviously, probably arguably top five franchises in all time NFL, besides the Patriots and Steelers. So I'm looking forward to this game because obviously Dallas at home is a juggernaut. I think the Lions are playing young and they're basically Lions. The Packers are basically like they're not playing with any expectations. A very young team. The average age is around 25, and I mean they don't know what they don't know, so they might come in there thinking they can win this game. So obviously the emergence of Jordan Love, Dak Prescott having his best year of his career with 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, CD Lamb having an All-Pro season. What are you expecting from this game?
Man, I'm honestly expecting this to be a little closer than probably most people. I'm expecting the Packers to kind of come out, give the Cowboys a punch in the mouth real quick
Mm-hmm.
to start the game off, and then the Cowboys are obviously been in that position before. I think they'll take it. They'll eventually win this game, but I think the Packers are going to surprise some people with the way they come out because Jordan Love has actually looked really good, man. He's looked
Mm-hmm.
really good, and I think if you look at his stats, he's like top 10 in everything. He's
Yes.
top 10 in everything. So he's a top 10 quarterback. And I agree with you. Maybe this is a year or two early for them to peak. But man, they made the playoffs with Jordan Love just his first full season as a starter. They're a pretty young team. Their defense is building, their offense is building. So I think people are like expecting Dallas to maybe blow out the Packers, like, it's gonna be like 42-21. I think it's gonna be a little bit closer than that, and the Packers will kind of showcase that early on.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, see, I'm not really thinking about the margin of victory. I mean, obviously, we both agree. I think Dallas will win this game, because it's at home and Dallas has proven to be,
Yep,
very formidable at home. But I mean,
absolutely. Yep.
I'm thinking this is going to be a shootout. I'm thinking that it's going to be like a high scoring, like in the 30s. Like, it's going to be a shootout. I mean, I think we saw what Seattle could do, against Dallas. Obviously, Green Bay doesn't have DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, but I mean, Jordan Love has had like you said, a masterclass season at QB. It's even better than Aaron Rodgers' first season as starter, and it's very promising for Green Bay. And obviously, I mean, we're talking about Coach of the Year. We forgot. I mean, Matt LaFleur should definitely be in the mix for
Yeah,
that. I
yeah,
mean,
he could be in the mix for that for sure. Yeah, I'm surprised they made they. I'm not surprised. I did think Green Bay would do well this season. Um, so
I'm very
I'm not
surprised.
surprised.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
very
surprised.
surprised.
I actually picked them to win the NFC North.
Wow. No, see, I
I
picked
did. I
Detroit.
did. I
Yeah,
did.
yeah. I
I
picked
was high
Detroit
on
the
them.
moment A-Rod left because then Zadarius Smith left, and everyone else just kind of went with him. And that's I mean they lost.
Yep.
They had too many
No,
losses.
I thought Jordan Love would kind of be all right. So I thought they would take it, but obviously they didn't take it, but they got into the playoffs. So I'm not too surprised, and I do expect the Packers to keep on going the way they're going, man. And they're gonna be a scary team in two,
They're
three
going to be
years.
a
So
scary team someday, right?
hopefully
Absolutely.
we
I
get a
think
Super Bowl before that.
right. We got to, but yeah, I really think that like you said, I think a young team full of confidence. Jordan Love having a great season, Matt LaFleur being the great coach that he is. It's going to be a good game. Mike McCarthy, that's his former team. So I mean, it's going to be a good game all around. So I'm excited for
It's
this
gonna be a
game.
good one for sure. Yep.
Then the last one, the last game of the weekend, not the Monday night game, but the Sunday night game. Rams at Lions. Los Angeles coming into this game. I think they've won 6 or 7 straight. The Lions, obviously, I'm sorry, not 6 or 7 straight, lost to Baltimore, but they won 6 of their last 7. And the Lions, obviously, like you said, the NFC North champ, first winning season and first NFC division title in 30 years. Last time they won was 1991 with Barry Sanders. Matt Stafford, Jared Goff. Talk about storylines. I mean, Matt Stafford won a
Yeah.
Super. I mean, what do you? Here's what I'm looking for. I think that this game is going to be. It's going to come down to who has the ball last. I think both teams are very, very good offensively. I think though the Rams have a little more holes, special teams wise, and a few other areas that the Lions can exploit. And the Lions are very creative in those areas. Dan Campbell has so many trick plays. I mean, I don't want to say lead the league in trick plays, especially like the fake punts, right? But I mean, there's different ways that the Lions scheme, and obviously that offensive line and that defense, which vastly improved. Even though the defense, I mean, they struggled when they played against multiple other teams, but I think Detroit at home is a better team. I mean, I don't want to say dome team, but they kind of are a dome team. So I mean, I'm anticipating a great matchup. A lot of people said Rams, but I'm going to go with the Lions. But I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a one for this.
Yeah, I think this is probably the toughest one to pick.
Yeah.
Um, I Out of all the matchups this weekend, I think this is the toughest one for sure. Like you said, right? Lions are a great team at home. They play really well. I think one thing that's gonna hurt them, I think Sam Laporta is gonna be out. Most
Mm-hmm.
likely he's gonna miss this one. So I think, you know, not having their full strength might hurt them a little bit on offense, but obviously they have guys like Amron St. Brown, they got Jamar Gibbs, they got David Montgomery, so they can run the ball and kind of control the clock on the Rams, and then that's how the Niners did it against the Rams. So I think that's the way Detroit has to go, right? Kind of play ball control, keep it out of Stafford's hands, keep it out of Kyron Williams' hands, keep it out of Cooper Kupp's hands, keep it out of Puka Nakau's hands, right? Keep it out of their playmakers and run the ball, bid your time. You got 2 good running backs, you got a great wide receiver in Amron St. Brown. Kind of use those strengths and play ball control a little bit. And I think if the Lions do that, I think they'll take this game. I think if they try to get into a shootout with Matt Stafford and the Rams, I don't think that's a recipe for success there for Detroit, because they can do it. They can do it, but Matt Stafford been doing that a lot longer than Jared Goff and these guys. So so I would, if it's a shootout, I would think the Rams are more favored in that. But I do think Detroit is really, you're gonna really see them come out and try to do ball control and kind of go like try to keep it out of the Rams' hands on offense, because I think they can attack the Rams defense by running through them. So um and whatever you got to do to get St. Brown going, but you definitely got to heavily target St. Brown, use that guy. Don't shy away from him, from his targets, get him his targets, and then start attacking him in the run game. And I think Lions will take this one. So I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna say Lions take this one, and it's gonna be a close one for sure.
It's gonna be a close one. That's why it's a night game, right? Be the best for last.
That's a
So
good
now
one.
that
Yeah,
we, so now that
I mean they
we,
gave us that stupid Monday night game. I don't know why they did
no,
that.
no, I don't. I mean, the Monday night, don't watch Monday night. That's why, that's why they put the
Yeah,
worst game on
they're like,
Monday night. So
put the Eagles Bucks. Oh, they should have put the Bills Steelers then on Monday night.
yeah.
That's the
Well,
worst game of the week
let's,
for me.
let's okay, so we pretty much have our picks. Let's just go run down the list one more time so I can just read this. Okay, you have Texans. I have Browns. We both have Chiefs. We both have Bills. We both have Cowboys. We both have Lions. You have Eagles. I have Bucks. So with these wins, obviously the divisional round, that means most likely, either. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the AFC because we have different picks. But, if both our picks, for the NFC come true, Then essentially the 49ers will end up either playing the Buccaneers or the Rams in the divisional.
Eagles, Eagles.
Eagles, sorry, Eagles or yeah. And so which opponent would you rather face, the Rams or the Eagles?
Man, I'll be honest with you. If the Eagles figure it out and beat the Bucks, I kind of don't want to play them.
But what,
um,
let me ask you, what makes you think they're going to figure it out at this point in the season?
I just feel like they're kind of due now, right? I think like maybe they were like, okay, we got beat by the Niners and then they got beat again. I don't know who they played after that, but I know they lost to the Cardinals. They lose to the Cardinals. They lost to the
They did,
Cardinals, right?
yeah, that's the Cardinals.
Lost to the Cardinals. So I think I don't know. There's probably this like thing. Okay, now we're in the playoffs. Now we gotta like get it together. Like I feel like they were kind of all right. We lost to the Niners. Whatever. It's like the last few weeks of the season. We're kind of in control a little bit. I mean, a little bit. Like they I think after like they lost to the Niners and then they lost another game, they were like, oh man, like now we're kind of relegated to the wild card, right? I mean, they
Mhm.
had a chance if Dallas was going to lose any of those games, but I think as they kind of saw Dallas kind of dominating, they're like, I feel like the Eagles kind of turned it off these last few weeks, for whatever reason. I know the NFL's figured them out a little bit. People figured out Jalen Hurts a little bit, but I do feel like this is a team that gets into the playoffs. They're like, damn, we're in the playoffs now. Let's like get our shit together. Like I think that's what's going to change. That's what's going to click. If they do that, they obviously a scarier team, and then you have to play them again twice when we really put it all out on the Eagles, right? Like we
Yeah,
really we were hyped. The team was hyped, right, to go
yeah.
play them, right? And so you saw Shanahan calling a game, like great game, like Purdy playing well, everyone playing well, and so to have to do that again at home, maybe a little more scarier. So I would say ideally we pay Tampa. I mean, we paid Tampa Bay as well. So but Tampa Bay wasn't that scary. So I don't know. I don't. It's tough. It's you can make a case that either one we could take, but if the Eagles kind of figure it out, I feel like that's a little tougher one to go do that again twice.
Yeah, I think the Rams are the scariest matchup. Only because, I mean, not to
Really?
say
Okay.
that only because they have momentum right now. They have a significant amount of momentum because they've strung together so many wins and they've gone up against the best, the Baltimores, they've gone up against us, even early in the season when we had our starters. I mean, that was a one score game. They basically took the Ravens to overtime. That was also a one score game. Right? I mean, I really think the Rams, like with all their firepower, they are an offense to be reckoned with. I think that would be the most dangerous opponent at this point for the Niners.
If they get past,
If
right?
they get past Detroit, because we both picked the Detroit. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I'm going on a limb here because I'm not taking our pick
Yeah.
consideration. I think
Yeah,
out of all
yeah.
teams currently right now, the Rams are the scariest team. Now, if
I
you
can
said
see that. Yeah, that I agree. That I agree with you. I was just thinking between Bucks Eagles if they were gonna face one of the
Now,
two.
now, now, as for Bucks or Eagles, though, if you remember the Bucks game, the Bucks played us tough. I mean, that was I want to say a 13-point game, and there were multiple opportunities the Bucks had where they could have obviously made a one-score game. So I mean, the Bucks are a good team in terms of kind of how they pass, how they slice and dice, and I mean, but outside of that, no, I agree. I think that yeah, the Eagles are a more formidable opponent than Tampa Bay. I think the Niners match up better against Tampa Bay. But I mean, I'm just not sure, if I mean, it really feels like this Eagles team has quit on their coach. Like that's really the vibe I got from last game. You saw in the body language, you saw kind of how
Yeah,
they're
yeah, I agree with you. It does feel like that they kind of quit on him, but I feel like they're gonna be like, okay, you know what? It's the playoffs. They're still in it. We can turn it on. Let's turn it on. Kind of, maybe let's one last like hurrah together. And if they don't, that's gonna be
yeah.
I think we'll see a very different Eagles team next season. But
I mean, I
if
really,
they
I
lose again,
really think we should see a different Eagles team next season either way. Because I mean, if you think about it, Nick Sirianni lost his offensive coordinator to the Colts, who almost made the playoffs. Jonathan
yep,
Gannon, who didn't have Kyler, he had three different quarterbacks this year, and he
yeah,
still he still was able to go to Philly and beat them at Philly, right? And I mean, it wasn't the Eagles' backup, so it was a starting team. I mean,
yep.
I mean, what more? I mean, what more evidence do you need? I mean, Nick Sirianni is not
He
like
needs to lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs. That's it.
I
It's the
mean,
last straw.
right, right. I mean, I really think that Nick Sirianni, since he's not really a play caller, he's not like a Kyle Shanahan or Andy when he's actually calling the plays. He delegates, right? He delegates to his
Yeah,
play callers, and then obviously for the defensive coordinator shift, when they went from Desai back to Patricia, and you saw some improvement, but that run defense is still. I mean, losing those two starting safeties, losing Javon Hargrave to us. Thank you, Javon. I mean, that hurt them significantly, right?
absolutely, absolutely. Yep.
And I think, I mean, and this team doesn't really have that much leadership, it seems like. I mean, they have the players who have been there, right? They've all been to a Super Bowl, right? Jason Kelsey actually won a Super Bowl with his team, so did Brandon Graham. But for some reason, I just think these players, they're not registering, and that's why it's a huge a topic, of debate right now on sports talk radio and sports talk, media regarding what the future is for Nick Sirianni, because of the fact that they already went through a coaching carousel. Howie Roseman, I mean, a lot of Eagles fans on my Facebook are exploding. I love it. I mean, the explosion is beautiful. Basically, they're saying that Howie Roseman, I mean, has he really done his job? So it's really, I mean, like everyone's just pointing the finger. The Philadelphia Inquirer said Nick Sirianni and his coaching staff needs to be let go next year. I mean, it's
Wow,
really,
that's
really,
crazy. That's crazy how
yeah,
you turn on a coaching staff that quickly.
right.
On a couple of losses. I mean, they're turning on Jalen Hurts too, so I don't know. I mean, trade Jalen Hurts to Chicago, right? Do that.
I mean, it does lead to turnovers. I think one bad season shouldn't define you, but it's Philadelphia, and the sports media is just rabid. You know what I mean? Kind of like our fans about
Yeah.
this meet. Yeah,
No. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
yeah. I was gonna say kind of
Listen,
like our fans over this game. I mean, even though it was a meaningless game, a lot of our fans were like, yeah, we should have won this game. We should have beat the Rams because we don't lose to the
who cares,
Rams.
dude? Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, and
We can lose to the Rams.
I mean, Jake Moody, yes, he struggled. He lost the Cleveland Browns game. He did obviously struggle against this Rams team, but
That scares Jake Moody scares me. Ronnie Bell wearing number 10 and returning punt scares me. Don't get it. The Niners need to retire the number 10. Nobody can wear number 10 and return punts. If you're gonna wear 10, you can't return punts. That should just be the rule. So that those two things kind of scare me. Special teams does scare me, and like if we mess, that's where we're more likely to mess up and lose a game is special teams, right? Jake Moody misses a field goal, misses an extra point. Ronnie Bell fumbles a punt. Those are the things that get you in the playoffs. And so I'm surprised that we decided to go with such an inexperienced kicker, with a Super Bowl window looming over us. But spend a third round pick on the dude. I guess that would have been okay if like we weren't really playoff contenders and you get some time to learn. But that's kind of scary that you're relying on a guy who's never played in an NFL postseason. And if it comes down to a one-score game, you're relying on this dude to win you the game. So we'll
I mean,
see. We'll see. I mean, he's been pretty good all season, minus the last game, minus a few games in between. Like I think he had maybe one or two other bad games early on in the season. He kind of bounced back from that, but one missed kick, and that's probably the end of Jake Moody's career. So
100%. I think that's pretty much how we're going to wrap it up. So those are our picks for the Wild Card Weekend. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back next week to talk about the divisional round for the San Francisco 49ers. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great work week. Have a great time with your family. Happy MLK weekend. We'll see you all next week.